Hey everybody, I'm Hut Wiggly, and I've had a lot of questions, people asking me, how do you do that? And one of the things they always want to know is, how do you make your vehicles look like they're rolling in stop motion and make them look realistic? As you can see, I got a very limited workspace here, so it's not like I can just run vehicles in this scale all over my stage area here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline my techniques that I use so that you can try to utilize your limited space and still make it look like you got a vehicle rolling a long ways. So I'm going to go over that stuff, and here we go. Okay, I'm working with this really cool M3 Stewart tank model by 21st Century Toys. I've had it for quite a while, and I just now getting around to doing some stop motion stuff with it. It's pretty cool. First thing we want to do before we do anything else, we got everything set up. I got my trees for scenery in the background. I got the tank set up, and I got all my crew figures posed in a pretty cool way that like they're riding down the road. Once everything's staged, get your lighting set up. First thing you want to do is go to your camera and take a frame. Okay, that's the first thing. All right. Now we can get on to making everything look like it's moving. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we're actually going to give the illusion of movement. The tank itself, the figures, are actually not going to move. What is going to move are our wheels and our trees in the background. Okay, so what we're going to do is, I have this knot hole on the table here that I use for reference. You can make a mark with Sharpie, you can use tape, whatever. Basically you want to have your reference point, and I have lined my reference point up with this point on the tank here, this little hole in the road wheel assembly here. So what you want to do, or what I do, is I will move this tank forward 1 inch, okay, so that that point lines up with the 11. Alright, once I get it moved, I'm actually going to pick it up and move it back to its starting point. Now the purpose of that is so that all your wheels and treads and everything get their movement in, so that the camera picks up on that when you take your frame. Okay? Now once we moved our tank 1 inch and then back again, you need to give that illusion of movement. So what we're going to do is we're going to move our trees. And you can see I have these trees. They're basically big wooden dowels with fake plants attached that I have attached to this little platform here, and I just move the platform 1 inch in the opposite direction that the tank is moving, and then I'll go over here to this one. I've got two little tree sections here, and we move that one 1 inch, and then it's time to move on and do our figures. Okay, so we moved our treads, we've moved our trees in the background, and now we got to do something with these guys. Okay, you would think they're hanging out, they're riding on a vehicle, they're going to have some kind of movement. As you know, when you're riding in a car, the car accelerates. You'll move your head a little bit. You'll lean to one side, whatever. These guys are kind of rolling slow through the woods. I'm not going to give them too much movement, just enough to make them look like they're lively. So basically we'll just turn their heads just a tiny bit, and then once you got your treads moved and you got your trees moved and your figures have moved, you take another frame. So we're going to use our camera here, and we got another frame. So now we've got two frames. We've got our initial frame, and then we've got our forward movement 1 inch frame. And that's basically it. You just repeat that a bunch of times. Move the tank back, move the trees, and move your figures, and that's pretty much it. Just repeat that process several times until you get enough frames to make yourself a little animated sequence. Just to reiterate, you move the tank 1 inch forward, and then you pick it up and move it back. That way there's no reverse travel in the treads or road wheels. And you move your trees 1 inch, and then you animate your figures. Okay, one point that I forgot to mention, I think, is that you don't move your camera. The camera that you're actually using to do the stop motion footage, do not move it. You want it as stationary as possible, okay? That's pretty much it for this portion. Once you get enough images for your sequence, and you get like a sequence of a few seconds or so, you download those images to your PC, and then you use your associated software. I use Flash. I'm going to illustrate that here in a second, but there are other types of software that you can use to do animation. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm sure they're out there. So just take what I'm about to show you and apply it to your specific software. Okay, so here we have my sequence of images that I shot earlier. As you can see, I've got over 50 images there of the tank rolling. So we divide that by 12, and that'll give you how many seconds of actual footage you have at the frame rate that I use. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to close that. I just wanted to show you how many images were involved. And you're going to go over here to Flash. And takes a second for it to load up. Okay, once we get all our images loaded into Flash, you go up here to Control and hit play, and you can see we have this illusion of movement. The tank itself, as you saw when we were over at the studio shooting the footage, the tank itself didn't actually move. However, you get your trees moving in the background, you get the wheels rolling, and it gives the appearance of movement. Okay, once we've taken all of our still images over here in the studio and we've uploaded them to the PC and we've imported them into Flash, we can then export them as an AVI file, which is what I do. From there, I use Windows Movie Maker, and I edit all my AVI files from Flash together to make one big long video. The sequence we shot here today, when you edit it all together, it looks something like this. Okay, from this point, all you really need to do is add sound effects and the sequence is complete. This is what the completed sequence looks like. Alright, so now that you know how I do my my driving sequences with my vehicles, if you have any other questions, you can always email me. I'm probably going to do some more of these tutorials. I have people asking me questions a lot. A lot of other stop motion artists are interested in what I do, and I'm happy to share what I do and help other people improve their work. Yeah, just email me on YouTube, and I'll be glad to get back to you. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna do some more of these tutorials. Hopefully, this one helps some people out, and you'll hear more from me soon. I'll talk to you later.